Okay. 2023 CR 5637, 2023 CR 5636, and 2023 CR 5638, State versus Stephen Michael Clare. Will the lawyers please state their names?
Tamara Strauss for the state, along with Nathan Moore.
Raymond Fuchs, Daniel De La Garza, and Jim Wheat for the defendant, Stephen Clare, Your Honor.
Okay, and sir, are you Stephen Michael Clare? Okay, and are both sides ready?
Yes, Your Honor, state's ready.
Defense is ready.
Okay, now will someone refresh my memory? I know this is a continuation of hearings that we had, but what are the issues that we already went over and what are we gonna go over today?
So, Your Honor, we are addressing the various search warrants in this case, and also the MAG calls and the jail calls, and also a statement that the defendant gave to a CPS worker by the name of Anita Siemens.
Okay. Okay, so who's up next? What do we have right now?
We have Sergeant Lloyd, Christopher Lloyd. Judge, do you have
The
the
exhibits?
numbers where we left off last time?
Here are the exhibits.
Okay, great, the exhibits, great.
I think it might be 11. I'm not too
Here.
sure.
11 was the last exhibit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly.
We will have a seat. Okay, will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, lower your hand. Please state your name and spell it out for the court reporter.
My name is Christopher Lloyd, it's spelled C-H-R-I-S-T-O-P-H-E-R. Last name is Lloyd, L-L-O-Y-D.
Okay, state your name.
Thank you, Judge. All right, hold on. Right, so for the record, you've just stated your name,
Yes, ma'am.
Christopher Lloyd?
That's
And
correct.
how are you employed?
I'm currently employed with the San Antonio Police Department as a sergeant within the homicide unit.
Okay. And how long have you been with the San Antonio Police Department?
I've been with the San Antonio Police Department for approximately 12 years.
Okay. And are you a certified peace officer in the state of Texas?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay. And prior to being a sergeant in the homicide unit at SAPD, where were you assigned?
Prior to making sergeant, I was assigned as in the homicide unit as a detective for the murder detail.
And as a detective, if you would just briefly tell the court about your duties and responsibilities as a detective in the homicide division.
As a detective within the homicide detail, I investigated assaults ranging from threats all the way up to murder cases where individuals were killed.
And were you assigned back on April 11th of 2023, the murder case of victim Willow Clare?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And do you have a copy of your prosecution guide in front of you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is the SAPD number assigned to that investigation?
It's SAPD 2307-8192.
And when were you assigned that case to investigate?
I was assigned the case on April 11th, the day after the incident.
Okay, so 2023.
Yes, ma'am, April 11th, 2023.
And when you were assigned the case, if you could basically tell us what you were given.
When I arrived at work that day, I was provided details that there was an assault the day prior in which 3 people were injured, and during the nighttime events, one of the victims had passed away as a result of the injuries, which turned it in from an ag assault into a murder investigation.
Okay. And the victim who had passed away, what is that victim's name and date of birth?
Her name is Willow Claire, and she was born April 13th, 2002. I'm sorry, 2022.
Okay, 2022?
Yes, ma'am, making her approximately 11 months old at the time of the incident.
Okay. And what are the names of the other two victims in the case, the two aggravated assault victims?
The other two victims are Mariah Claire, which is Willow's mother, and Rosalie Claire, which is her other daughter.
Which is,
Mariah's other daughter.
okay. And who had done the initial investigation on this case? When the call came out for the aggravated assaults on the three individuals, Willow, Rosalie, and Mariah?
It started out with the night CID, or night divisions investigators, and it would have been led by Dennis Quinn, I believe, Detective Quinn.
Now, the location of the offense, what is that location, sir?
The offense occurred at 547 Robin Hood Place in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, and is that located here in Bexar County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And was SAPD able to determine a suspect in the case?
Yes, ma'am, a suspect was developed during that initial investigation.
Okay, and was a suspect arrested for the offense at this time of 3 aggravated assaults?
Yes, ma'am, there was a suspect identified and arrested that night.
Okay, and who is that suspect?
The suspect was Stephen Claire.
Okay, and do you see Stephen Claire in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and would you please point to him and describe what he's wearing for the record?
Stephen Claire is wearing a red jumpsuit
Okay, and where is he seated?
in front of the defense, or side to the defense.
As part of your investigation, did you perform or did you draft multiple search warrant affidavits and corresponding search warrants?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Just give me a second. Sergeant Lloyd, as part of your investigation, did you draft an affidavit for a search warrant and a corresponding search warrant for a buccal swab from the defendant, Stephen Clare?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 16. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and what is State's Exhibit 16?
It's a search warrant for a buccal swab from the defendant, Stephen Clare.
Okay, and when did you present that to a judge?
I presented it on May 31st, 2023 at 11:51.
Okay, and which judge did you present that to?
Celeste Ramirez.
Okay. and-
Celeste Ramirez.
Okay, and did Celeste Ramirez sign the search warrant?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And in your affidavit for search warrant, does it list your probable cause?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
And after Judge Ramirez signed the search warrant, first of all, is this your signature on page 2 of State's Exhibit 16?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, and then the judge's is underneath yours. Did you swear that everything in here is true and correct?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
On May 31st, 2023 at 11:51 a.m. to Judge Ramirez.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then on the search warrant on page 3, did the judge sign this, Judge Ramirez, on May 31st of 2023?
Yes, ma'am, she
Okay,
did.
and upon Judge Ramirez signing this, what did you then do?
I executed the buccal swab warrant to get 2 swabs from the defendant, Stephen Clare.
Okay, and can you tell the court about that?
I requested the defendant be brought into an interview room at 200 Comal at the jail. He was brought in. I read him the search warrant request, and then I presented it to him, or I showed it to him, and then I took 2 samples through buccal swabs through our sample kit. I sealed this kit up, and then I took it back to the property room. Let me back up for just a second. I also did a warrant return on the buccal swabs to the judge that had previously signed it, and then I took the buccal swabs to the property room to be placed into evidence.
May I approach?
Yes, you may.
And I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 15. Have you had an opportunity to watch that?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And what is State's Exhibit 15?
It's the body cam footage of the buccal swab execution.
And you said you took the buccal swabs on the defendant. Is that the same defendant, Stephen Clare, that you previously identified in court?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And for the record, what is the warrant number on State's Exhibit 16?
The warrant number is Charlie Mike 110118.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to introduce State's Exhibits 15 and 16 for purposes of this hearing.
No objection.
Okay, so states 16 and 15 are admitted into evidence.
As part of your investigation, Sergeant Lloyd, did you also draft an affidavit for a search warrant and a search warrant for the defendant Stephen Clare's cell phone records?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, you may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 13. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is State's Exhibit 13?
It's an affidavit for search warrant for Stephen Clare's phone records through AT&T.
All right. And what is the number of this search warrant, please?
It's Charlie Mike 109-944.
And did you draft this affidavit?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and is it your signature at the bottom of the affidavit for search warrant?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And did you swear to the probable cause statement in the affidavit for search warrant in front of a district court judge?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and when did you swear to the contents of this affidavit on your probable cause?
May 4th, 2023.
Okay, and who was the district court judge?
Judge Frank Castro.
And did he sign this affidavit?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And the affidavit is followed by the same document, a search warrant, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Judge Castro also sign the search warrant? Did he date it and put the time on it? May 24, 2023 at 3:45 PM,
Yes, ma'am, he did.
okay? And after you presented this to Judge Castro, the affidavit, swore to it, and he signed both the affidavit and the search warrant, what did you do after you received your search warrant?
I had the search warrant logged with the clerks, and then I executed the said search warrant by submitting it to AT&T to obtain the records.
Okay, and what were you specifically requesting?
The outgoing and incoming call data, the locational data contained within it. I always request the text messages, but those don't necessarily come through. Subscriber information to confirm that the device belongs to the person that's associated with it. And I asked for device purchase information, but generally that doesn't come through. Maybe an email address that's associated with it, with the records.
And for the record, who was the phone carrier was what company, please?
AT&T.
Okay, and what's the name of the individual that you were attempting to request the records from the company? What was the subscriber's name, I'm sorry?
Oh, Stephen Clare.
Okay, and what is the telephone number?
210-287-8982.
And after this was signed, what did you then do with the affidavit, search warrant, and the search warrant? State's Exhibit number 13.
They were placed with the case for evidence purposes.
Okay, I guess after you received this, did you provide this to anyone, this
Yeah.
particular document, to a company?
Yes, ma'am. I supplied the search warrant to AT&T to be executed to obtain those records.
And did you in fact obtain the records?
Yes, ma'am.
For the defendant's cell phone? You said some of the records they don't send you, like for example, the text messages, but did you receive records from AT&T pertaining to Stephen Clare, cell phone number 210-287-8982?
Yes, ma'am. I received the records.
Okay. All right, this time the state moves to introduce for purposes of this hearing, State's Exhibit 13.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, states 13 is admitted into evidence.
All right. When you took over this investigation on April the 10th of 2023, had a gun been located, a gun that had been used in this particular crime?
It was believed at the time we had not recovered the specific firearm that was used in this crime.
If you would, please tell us about your efforts to locate the gun.
Preceding the event, I walked the route from the defendant's house down to the victim's house in hopes that it was maybe discarded on the side of the road. I also did a secondary search at the defendant's house under a district court warrant, and I used a canine that specializes in the recovery of firearms that have been discharged. And then I also searched an adjacent house to the suspect under a consent to attempt to see if he discarded it over a fence.
Okay, and you said you searched an adjacent home?
Exterior property outside in, because they were heavily with lots of shrubbery, I guess.
And so you said you had a search warrant for the location where the defendant lived, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The backyard residence? Okay. Can I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 14. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and what is the number associated with State's Exhibit 14, the warrant number?
Charlie Mike, 109348.
Okay, and what is State's Exhibit 14?
It is a search warrant for the suspect's address to attempt to locate the firearm.
Okay. So a search warrant and then your corresponding affidavit for search warrant, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is the location of the residence that you were searching? The backyard located behind the residence, the detached garage and a brown wooden shed located?
At 1507 Haskin Drive.
Okay, and is that located here in San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And the the affidavit for search warrant, does it contain the probable cause to search for the backyard area, 1507 Haskin?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay, and what were you specifically asking to search for?
I was specifically asking to search for firearms, live ammunition, expended ammunitions, firearm accessories. I was looking for clothing items that could be wrapped around the firearm for concealment, and then all
So that could be wrapped around.
the firearm for concealment, and in any and all processes for the collection of evidence.
And I may have already asked you this question, but if you could read the number of the search warrant into the record.
Charlie Mike, 109348.
Okay. And did you swear to the affidavit of the search warrant in front of a district court judge?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And is your signature and badge number on page 3 of the affidavit for search warrant?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And who is the district court judge that you swore before?
Jennifer Pena,
Okay, and what was the date and time that she signed the affidavit?
May 3rd, 2023 at 12:17 p.m.
Okay, and then on page 5 of this document, which is the second page of the search warrant, did Judge Pena also sign that, giving you permission to search for the backyard for those items you've just described?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay, and so Judge Pena signed it, and then when did she sign it, please?
May 3rd, 2023 at 12:17 p.m.
And did you go to that location, after Judge Pena signed this, did you go to 1507 Haskin and search for the gun, live or expended ammunition, clothing items, after the search warrant was signed?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and who did you go with?
I went with my ATF contact that works with her dog. I forget her name off the top of my head. I'll refresh off my report.
Yeah, and if you could also tell us when you went to search.
I went to search the property on May 4th, 2023, it was in the morning hours with ATF agent Andrea DeVillers, and along with her detection dog.
Okay. And were you all able to locate any of the items that you were searching for? A gun, used to wrap around the gun,
No, ma'am.
conceal the gun? Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to introduce Case Exhibit 14 for purposes of this hearing.
No objection.
Okay, state 14 is admitted into evidence for purposes of this hearing.
Now, on May 2nd of 2023, the day before, had you gone to, did you draft another search warrant for a silver Apple desktop with silver wireless keyboard that was located at 555 Academic Court, San Antonio, Texas?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 12. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what is State's Exhibit 12?
It's a search warrant to go into an Apple computer that was recovered from the defendant's house.
Okay, and when you say the defendant, it's Stephen Clare, the same person you've identified in court.
Yes, ma'am, Stephen Clare.
What is the search warrant number associated with State's Exhibit 12? The affidavit and the search warrant.
Charlie Mike, 109313.
And is the, on State's Exhibit 12, is the probable cause to search that computer listed in this document, in the
Yeah.
affidavit?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And did you sign the affidavit?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you swear to its contents in front of District Court Judge Jennifer Pena on May 2nd, 2023 at 9:26 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did Judge Pena then sign both the affidavit for search warrant, which is on page 3 of State's Exhibit 12, and the search warrant, which is on page 5 of State's Exhibit 12?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay. And did you, after presenting this to the judge, did you then search the silver Apple desktop computer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state moves to introduce State's Exhibit 12 for purposes of this hearing.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, state's 12 is admitted into evidence.
And Detective Lloyd, initially, the case began as 3 aggravated assault cases, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then at one point,
Can you get to the mic, I'm sorry. Thank you.
at what point did it change, did one of the offenses change to capital murder?
Between the time Stephen was arrested and the time before 7:45 a.m., one of the Willow passed away as a result of injuries, increasing it from ag assault to capital murder.
Okay. And did you also draft 2 affidavits for arrest warrant for the changing the aggravated assault on Rosalie Claire and Mariah Claire to upgrade those offenses?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes, you may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 17. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and what is the CM number associated with that document?
Charlie Mike, 109171.
Okay. And did you sign that document? The affidavit for probable cause?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, and did you swear to the contents of the affidavit in front of Judge Halstead on April 26th of 2023 at 3:12 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And then did the judge sign the warrant, Judge Halstead, on April 26th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Okay. And then the two victims are listed in both of the warrants, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
Okay, and the victims' names and dates of birth are?
Mariah Claire, June 8th, 94, and Rosalie Claire, August 26th, 2020.
And on State's Exhibit 18, a second affidavit for arrest warrant, corresponding arrest warrant. What is the magistrate court number assigned to State's Exhibit 18?
Charlie Mike, 109172.
Okay, and again, in State's Exhibit 18 is the probable cause for this affidavit for arrest warrant listed.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And did you swear to the contents of that in front of Judge Halstead and sign page 3 of State's Exhibit 18?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did Judge Halstead sign the document after you swore to him, the affidavit for arrest warrant, on April 26, 2023 at 3:12 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the warrant for arrest, did Judge Halstead sign that on April 26 of 2023 in State's Exhibit number 18?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Your Honor, this time the state wishes to introduce State's Exhibit 17 and 18 for purposes of this hearing.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, states 17 and 18 are admitted into evidence.
During your investigation, were you contacted by a Child Protective Service worker by the name of Anita Siemens?
Yes, ma'am, I
What
was.
the name of her? Anita Siemens? And when were you contacted by Ms. Siemens?
Appears I spoke with her on April 18th, 2023.
And did you contact her first, or did she contact you first?
She reached out to me.
And what did she tell you when she reached out to you? What was your conversation with her?
Anita advised she was with CPS and she was doing an investigation into the safety and welfare of the children that belonged to Mariah and Stephen Claire, and that she was going to conduct an investigation to make sure they were safe in the home.
And what did you tell her when she informed you that she was conducting an investigation to determine whether the children were safe in the home?
She advised that she needed to speak to the parents and asked if that would be okay. At that point in the investigation, I was still gathering evidence, but my conversation with Steve and Claire had concluded, and I had interviewed Mariah a couple times. So I said, you can continue your investigation while I'm doing mine, but it's not super relevant to what I'm doing right now.
Did you instruct her to go speak to the defendant at the Bexar County Jail?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Was Ms. Siemens in any way working for the San Antonio Police Department or on behalf of the San Antonio Police Department?
No, ma'am.
Was her investigation was it completely separate from yours, or were y'all working together?
It was separate from mine
And why was it separate?
because my investigation is towards the penal code violations, while hers is towards the welfare of the children.
And did you, when she asked you tell us if you could the exact words that she said to you when she called you.
I don't recall exactly what she said, but her request was if she could speak to Steve and Claire in regards to this to conduct her investigation. And I said it would not hinder or hurt my investigation because he's already declined to talk to us, so I didn't need anything. It wasn't going to change what he's going to tell me because he's not going to speak to me.
Okay. And did you tell Anita Siemens, did you give her any direction as to what she should ask Stephen Claire?
No, ma'am.
Did you give her any questions or tell her what you wanted her to, what information you wanted her to ask Stephen Claire?
No, ma'am.
And why didn't you do that?
Because it's not I'm not investigating or checking on the welfare of the children, so I don't know what her protocol is for safety of the children. I just know what mine is.
So the sole purpose of her contacting you was to do what, sir?
Ask permission to speak to Steve and Claire to see if she was going to hinder my investigation in any way, because she didn't want to jeopardize my investigation while she's running a investigation to check on the welfare of the children.
So your investigation is criminal in nature, is that a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
And is her investigation criminal in nature?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you said her investigation was the investigation is the well-being of the children, the safety of the children, a safety plan?
Yes, ma'am. Making sure the children are safe in the home with the parents.
Okay. After Anita Siemens spoke to the defendant, Stephen Claire, did she then provide you or contact you again and provide you a copy of the statement?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And did you notate in your report what the defendant told the Siemens?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
The statement that she provided to you, that she took from the defendant, the recorded statement that she took from the defendant, Stephen Claire, did you ask for a copy of it, or did she just provide it to you?
I don't recall exactly the language between us. I know she called and said he provided a statement, and Generally speaking, when someone offers up a statement, I'm gonna ask, is there any way I can get a copy of it, regardless of who's providing it, just so I can provide it, and ultimately its admissibility be determined later on.
Okay. And did after receiving the statement of the defendant, that was taken by Ms. Siemens, did that in any way change the outcome of your criminal investigation into the capital murder of Willow Claire and the 2 aggravated assaults, serious bodily injury by a family member, of Mariah Claire and Rosalie Claire?
No, ma'am, it did not.
I'll pass the witness.
Thanks.
Your Honor, just have 5 minutes.
Okay,
recess.
let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, okay? If you need to take a 5-minute break. ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, could you make a seat?
Thank you, Your Honor. All right. Detective Lloyd, you said the first time you contacted, or this investigator Siemens contacted you was April the 18th of 23, right?
That's what I've got indicated in my report. I believe that was the first contact.
Do you have an independent memory of discussing this case with her?
Mm-mm.
Okay, how many times did y'all meet?
What was that? What was that? What'd you say? You said
No,
no?
ma'am, or no, sir, sorry.
How many times did y'all meet total?
I couldn't tell you right offhand.
Well, was it less than 10?
Yes, sir, less than 10.
Was it 5?
I would say 2 to 4.
2 to 4 times?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, do you know, I don't mean like y'all go out and drink beer, but do you know the investigator Siemens professionally? Do you know her from Live Oak or from anywhere else?
Not that I recall. I may have heard her name one time on one other investigation, but I don't know that I've ever worked with her on another case, nor do I know her outside of work.
Do you attend CLEs?
Attend what, sir?
CLEs or continuing education to keep your certification?
Yes, sir, but ours is done mostly through the training academy. So most of my stuff is through the SAPD academy, and I don't go outside.
Okay, because you know I'm gonna ask if you've been to some of the seminars she conducts, right? Is that why you responded that way?
No, I don't think I've ever been to one of her seminars.
But you know she conducts seminars on investigative techniques, right?
I did not know that.
You did not know that.
Mm-mm.
And you didn't know that she also conducts CLEs or continuing educations where she teaches police officers how to do interview techniques. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
And you said y'all had worked together before on other cases?
I may have come across her one time on one other case, but I don't recall which one it was.
Okay, and then as far as when you had discussions with Investigator Siemens, did you said she reached out to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you let her know that Mr. Clare had invoked his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, correct?
That's correct.
And as you put it earlier, you said he had declined to talk with us, right?
That's correct.
And it was actually with you, correct? Were you the one who interviewed him on,
I don't believe so. It should have been our night detectives.
who was that?
It would have been one of the night detectives with Quinn, Detective Quinn.
And so Quinn, you knew that Clare refused to give a statement, right?
That's correct.
And then you relayed that information to Siemens, right?
That's correct.
And your testimony was that you did update her on the investigation, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and you, also your testimony was that you actually gave her permission to interview Claire, right?
That's correct.
And then as far as your conversation with Investigator Siemens, your testimony earlier was you didn't give her specific questions to ask, correct?
That's correct.
But in discussing the investigation with her, you told her basically what y'all were looking for, right?
I told her,
You talked to her about the gun, right?
I discussed the investigation as it stood towards the children and the overall crime. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that would include the gun, correct?
Yes.
And you told her that y'all were still looking for the gun, correct?
Yes.
And then Investigator Siemens would have known that any statement that she obtains from Claire, that you would obviously use in your prosecution, right?
Yes.
All right, now as far as the forensic interview of the children goes, did she set that up or did you set that up?
I believe I set that up.
You set that up, and then you also invited Siemens to be there, right?
Yes.
Watch.
That's correct.
And did you all watch it together?
I believe she was there. I don't remember who was with us in the room, but I believe I invited her, and I think she came over there.
And did you know if Siemens had prepared a safety plan for the children at that point?
I'm not sure if she prepared a safety plan. That would be her job, and a question for her.
But in the discussions, you knew and relayed to her, right, that the children were, that first of all, that Claire was in jail, right?
That's correct.
And that there was, that Mariah was either in the hospital or out of the hospital, but that the children were safe with somebody, right?
That was my understanding. They were safe with somebody, family members.
Either a family member, Mariah's father, one of the fathers of the children, I think Copeland, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the interview took place in the Bexar County Jail, correct?
Which interview, sir?
Or do you know where the interview took place?
Between Anita and Stephen?
And Claire, yes.
I don't know where it took place.
All right, now let's switch gears a little bit into the search warrants, okay?
Yes, sir.
In the exhibits that, where are the exhibits at? I think it was like 12, 13, 17, and 18 are the arrest warrants. So in 12, which is the Apple computer, 13, which is the AT&T search warrant, State's Exhibit 14, which is the Haskins search warrant,
Yes, sir.
and 16 appears to be is that the buckle swab?
Yes, sir, it is.
And I'm sorry, may I approach the exhibits and?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Now, on the buckle swab, is there a return attached to that?
Yes, sir, there is.
Or-
It's the last page. This would have been the back of it, and then it was stamped right there.
Okay, so are you saying something's missing from it?
No, sir, this is what they provided me, so, may I explain?
Yeah.
Whenever we do a search warrant, they provide us the search warrant to go execute, and then when I come back, I write on the back of one of the pages of what I obtained right then, and then I hand it to them, and then they certify it by stamping it right there. So this would have been the back of this page,
Okay.
right here. That's filed with the clerks, and so they give me a copy and maintain the original.
And that's, you're testifying that's your standard practice for every search warrant?
When I get a return, when I obtain stuff, typically,
Yeah.
it's been a better, more consistent practice.
No, I understand it. I'm just trying to figure it out. So is there a form that says return that you fill out, or do you literally just turn the page over and write what you obtained?
I just turn the page over and write what I obtained.
Okay. And then did somebody teach you to do that, or is that just how you ended up doing it, or?
I believe one of the clerks said you can write it on the back and then provide it to us and we'll
Okay.
certify it.
All right, and so there's not a form that says return that you fill out?
There is a form depending on the time, and the packet has a return receipt for it.
Understood. Okay, so for 14, State's Exhibit 14, we can agree that is the Haskins house, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a return form attached to that?
I don't believe so, but I did not obtain anything under my search warrant for Haskin.
Okay, so neither a handwritten return nor a form or anything attached, right? And so your testimony would be that there's nothing that you obtained from it, from the property that was relevant to your investigation, right?
Under the search that I conducted on Haskin on that day, I did not obtain any evidence.
Because to be fair, there were two, right?
Yes, sir.
This is the May, whatever.
This
search,
is the
right?
subsequent search that was conducted days after.
Okay. All right, and then would it be fair to say that on 13, is there a return on that one? And 13 is the AT&T search warrant, correct?
This is the search warrant for AT&T phone records.
All right, is there a return?
I don't,
attached?
I don't see a return for that one.
Right. And would it be fair to say, because you didn't obtain anything from this one?
I did obtain records for the AT&T records.
You did obtain something?
I did obtain phone records for Steve and Claire.
But no
under that,
return attached.
but no return attached.
And then what about for 12? 12 is the Apple computer, correct?
That's correct.
Is there a return on that one?
There is no return. I did not obtain anything from that search of the Apple computer.
So for the one where you did obtain something, which was 13.
I'm sorry, say that again, Danny?
For the warrant where you did obtain something, which was 13, can you check if there's also an inventory attached?
There's no inventory on that one.
Thank you. Now let's move on from the search warrants into Stephen Claire's computer. Which one was that? Was that, you said it was 12?
I believe that's State's Exhibit 12, yes.
You said there was nothing obtained from that evidentiary value.
No, sir.
What about, let's talk about surveillance video from the Haskins house. Do you recall surveillance video?
Yes, I believe it's a ADT clip.
ADT.
Mhm.
Where did you obtain the ADT clip from?
I obtained that from Mariah Claire.
Right.
Mhm.
And let's just walk me through that. So when's the first day that you, I know that you had talked to Mariah previously, but when's the first time that you talked to Mariah about ADT?
Looks like I have it documented on April 24th, 2023.
And ADT is, we agree, is the security company, right?
Yes, sir.
That has, when was the video that ADT had in a cloud or was it on a device?
I believe we determined it was cloud-based later on.
And when you talked to Mariah, did you tell her that you were looking for surveillance video?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did she lead you to, like, how did it go down? How did she tell you that? How did you find out about ADT is what I'm asking?
I believe she had lived at that residence and had previously used that service, so she was able to elaborate on it and tell me that it was available.
And did she get on ADT like on her phone or her computer?
I believe she was able to access it through the app.
Through the app? Okay.
I believe so.
And she did that at your direction, right?
I advised her I was trying to find a way, and if she had access to it because she was an authorized person, then she could provide that, yes.
All right, and she, what's this about, they removed the two-factor authentication? Because y'all had trouble getting in, right, to the app?
I believe she wasn't able to get into it right away because it had been a while since she had obtained it. So she told me she was gonna find a way to see if she could get into the app.
Okay, and then she removed the two-factor authentication,
I believe so.
right? And then she was able to, for lack of a better term, break into it, right?
Well, get access to it, yes. I don't know how exactly she got into it.
And then, what did she do from there? Did you help her download it onto a CD, or how did you obtain the actual video?
I believe she was able to send the videos over, and then they were added to the case jacket.
Okay, and did you go down to the Bexar County Jail to ask Stephen Claire for permission?
No, sir, I did not.
No?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you get a warrant for the ADT?
I did a preservation request, but I stopped short of getting an actual warrant signed once we had obtained the videos.
Okay. One second. Okay. search of the Haskins house on April the 10th, 2023, in the evening, in the night?
No, sir, I was not.
Which detectives, if you know, were involved in that?
I don't recall exactly who was leading the, I believe Detective Albano and Detective Quinn were.
Albano?
Albano, yes, ma'am. And Detective Quinn were part of it, but I couldn't tell you exactly who conducted it right offhand.
Okay, so if I had questions about, or I guess more questions about particular pieces of evidence in that house, I guess they would be the proper people to ask?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
State.
Yes, just briefly, Your Honor, you were asked by the defense various questions about Ms. Siemens,
Yes, ma'am.
Anita Siemens, who is the Child Protective Service employee. The word that was used, and I don't know if it was your word or the defense word, but was permission. Tell us, did you give her permission, or tell us what you meant by that, or what they meant by that in their question to you about permission? Can you explain that?
I was asked if she asked permission to go speak to Stephen Clare, and to a degree, she was asking if she was going to interfere with my investigation by going to speak to him to continue hers. So she asked, is it okay if I go speak to Stephen Clare? And I said, yes, you can go speak. So to a degree, I gave her permission, but it was not at an order like, go speak to him. It was, you can continue on with your investigation. It's not going to hinder mine.
It's not gonna affect your investigation, whether she talks to him or not, did that in fact affect your investigation?
No, ma'am, it did not.
And could Anita Siemens have gone to speak to Stephen Clare without even calling, without asking if it was okay to speak to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why is that?
Because she has a sub-mission, I guess, of protecting the children, and it was more of a courtesy to make sure she's not going to interfere or hinder mine in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, and did you tell her, or ask her, did you tell her to ask any questions, or are there any questions that you wanted her, or you told her to ask?
Not that I recall.
Well, would you have?
Maybe why, if I wanted to know anything, would be why hurt the children? Or maybe so I can understand, because it would ultimately, it could affect the charge specifically if it was a crime of passion, or is this a crime of hate, or what is it? But ultimately, the how is been proven pretty good.
Is
But
what,
did-
I'm sorry?
I guess-
I'm sorry, the how is what? The how is what? What did you just say?
The how it was done was proven at this point, or just really the why.
But did you, I think back, did you ask her to ask any questions on your behalf?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and was she working on behalf of the San Antonio Police Department?
No, ma'am.
Was she acting on behalf of any other was there any other law enforcement agency that you're aware of that was investigating the capital murder case of Willow Clare and the aggravated assault cases of Mariah Clare and Rosalie Clare?
No, ma'am. Mine's a sole investigation into the criminal acts.
That's what.
Okay, so just to summarize, you, Investigator Siemens, basically you knew that she was gonna go interview Claire, right?
Yes,
And she updated you on the status, right?
that's correct.
And you invited her, or she invited you somehow, y'all ended up watching the forensic interview together, correct?
That's correct.
And she updated you, or advised you on the fact that Claire, for all intents and purposes, had confessed, right?
To a degree, yes.
You made some admissions, right?
Admissions.
And then you permitted her, you gave her permission to go interview, right?
I told her it would not hinder and that she could.
Okay, it's good summary,
Well, I'm interested in, when you say you met with her 2 or 4 times, did she come to your office, and did you sit together and talk? Do you remember?
On the first occasion, she did come to the office. She asked to meet with me and go over it. And then on the subsequent times, I believe she was present for the child safe. And then I know there was another time we met for the interview. So right there, I've got 3 times. So I probably saw her face to face on a minimum 3 times.
And when you say go over it, what do you mean it? I mean, did she read you reports? Did you show her videos? What was the interaction between you and her specifically?
The interaction specifically was the parents, I guess, Steve and Claire being the dad, Mariah being the mom, the children that were in the house, the children that were injured and how they were injured, and then the 2 that were not injured and had jumped out.
I'm trying to figure out, because it appeared to me that she had information when she went in there to talk to the defendant. And I'm trying to figure out, what information did you share with her specifically from your investigation? Like I'm saying, did you show her reports, and did she go over them with you? Did you meet with her for 15 minutes? Did you meet with her for 2 hours? Did you show her videos? Or what, tell me the exchange that you all had, if you could, please.
As the first, it would probably be the first interaction with Siemens, where she came to headquarters to go over everything, or go over the case, what injuries the children have, and obviously I told her how, our belief is that it was a bladed instrument along with a firearm that was used on the children, so she has a better understanding in making her safety plan. I'm not sure what else there was to tell. We did go over, obviously, where it happened, Mariah's house, and he wasn't arrested there. He was arrested at his residence, so that we can establish they're separate from each other.
Do you recall showing her a video? Either it was the Ring camera or something from across the street?
She could have seen the Ring camera. It's possible. I may have showed her. That would just show, Steve and Claire arriving at the house, and then the incident outside, and then him departing.
And you let her know that the gun was missing, was still missing?
I probably did tell her that the gun was missing.
Okay, did you mention the caliber of the firearm?
I don't recall if we had mentioned the caliber of it. I know that there was a family weapon that was missing from it, and we hadn't recovered it.
Okay, did you give her copies of police reports?
I don't know if I gave her copies of the police report. Typically with CPS, we do provide them the primary offense report to assist in identification of family members, mom, dad, children.
Okay, but in this instance, you don't remember if you gave her copies of police reports of a prosecution guide or something like that?
I wouldn't have a prosecution guide anywhere. No, there's no way, sir.
Okay. Any other questions from your side?
So I do have some information to provide the court
Okay.
about kind of dates, just to clear a few things up.
Sure thing.
And I'm looking at the CPS records.
Can you hold on close to you? Thank you.
Okay, so looking at the CPS records, so the child safe interviews with Braylon, Gardner, and Copeland Delcom were on April the 11th, so the fall of 2023, the day after. And Detective Lloyd testified that she was present for those interviews. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And then she says in these records for the defense on page 64, so you have that. It says here, April 11th, 2023 at 2:15 p.m. I've spoken with Christopher Lloyd, SAPD at Child Safe, and it has the address of Child Safe. So, and then, it says law enforcement arrived at the resident, mentions that a neighbor had footage of the incident. Detective Lloyd said the mother was crying out for help. Detective Lloyd indicated Mariah Claire, mother was shot 5 times and at least twice in the hips. The medical examiner indicated Willow Claire's death was from stab wounds. Detective Lloyd explained a pair of scissors and a knife were recovered from the scene. Rosalie was found to have 3 gunshot wounds and Willow was found to have 1. Detective Lloyd provided 6/1/1972 was Stephen Clare's date of birth. Detective here says Floyd, but mentioned, I'm sure she's referring to Lloyd, mentioned that they cannot find the gun that Stephen shot Mariah with, and that's the following day, April 11th. The conversation that she has, so then the child safe interviews happen that same day with Braylon Copeland, and then she interviews, she meaning Anita Siemens interviews Stephen Clare on April the 18th of 23 at the Bexar County Jail. And then I have that Anita Siemens, let's see, that on June 6th, June 6, 2023 at 11:15 a.m., crime scene photographs obtained from San Antonio Police Detective Christopher Lloyd. On 6/3/23, I was tasked with assisting in this case by obtaining photographs from San Antonio Police Department. I was advised that Detective Christopher Lloyd would be back on duty on 6/4/23. I reached out to him on 6/4/23, and arrangements were made to meet in person on 6/6/23 to obtain photographs of this case for this investigation, the CPS investigation. 7 photographs were provided to me for this case. They are as follows. And so I can read you what each of the 7
No, that's
photographs
fine.
are.
That's fine.
So at that point, I'm not gonna have
Yeah,
application.
after this page.
I just-
Okay, anything else from your side on the witness? I don't know. State, no? Okay, your excuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, state, call your next witness.
We don't have any more witnesses, Your Honor. We do have, the court had asked for jail calls. I've already tendered a copy of these for the defense.
Okay.
There's 62 individual calls, but they're not all conversations. A lot of what's on here are things that he did in the initial hours of his detention, and we're probably not gonna introduce any of these in case in chief, but we wanna have them available just in case his state of mind comes up or what he was doing in the time shortly after the offense. Additionally, we have sampled some calls to friends and family members, as well as some other samples of how he's using his phone account. And again, we don't know how this will come up. If it does, these are the ones we have selected. If we have more, we will tender them to the defense and the court.
Okay, and what exhibit is this?
What are we up to?
You have 18 in the last one listed.
First of all, can you go ahead and mark it?
I think if you're okay with it, the way that we handle it is, we want to check for the purpose of the hearing, we'll
Of course.
review them, and then if there's any objections, we'll just take them off, because
Yeah.
it seems more like a trial thing.
Yeah, of course, it's only for purposes of this hearing. Okay.
So what number will that be, sir?
I said we're up to 18, this will be 19. There's a kind of an index that our investigator has created. Would you like me to mark that separately? Just the papers, or?
No, we just submitted this one,
Okay.
okay? That states 19 is the index with a jail call CD, right?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Just make sure they're put together.
Yeah, they're put together.
I think this is all that we have. I do have some argument I'd like to
Yeah,
make.
of course, yeah. Okay, and defense, you have any objections to states 19 now?
Not for the purposes of the hearing, though.
Okay, well, so states 19 is admitted into evidence.
And Judge, just to follow up on my earlier reading of the CPS records, and defense, please correct me if you see otherwise, but it appears that on June 22nd, 2023, that she's listing the various San Antonio Police Department reports that she has. So-
Okay, but this is post the statement.
Correct.
So, okay. Okay, so just to make sure, we're here on motion to suppress several searches, particularly the residence, the vehicle, some Google swabs, the AT&T, and potentially the computer, the Apple computer, okay? And then, there's a motion to suppress oral statements of the defendant and a Jackson v. Daniel motion, okay? So, stating your arguments.
If Your Honor, as I want to cover a few different things. One, there was some discussion about inventory returns, and I would just direct the court to Article 1810 in the Code of Criminal Procedure, and that specifically says that the failure to do an improper inventory return or no inventory return, and I will note in a lot of these there was simply nothing taken, and the purpose of an inventory return is if you take property at value, the magistrate's supposed to keep an inventory of it. But those inventory returns are not a basis for suppression in court. So the obtaining of the evidence and how it's obtained can be raised, but any actions taken afterward in the inventory under 1810 is not a basis for suppression. There were several warrants introduced into evidence. The defendant bears the burden of defeating a warrant, and there's no evidence before the court that any of these warrants are invalid. Finally, I would also note as to the surveillance video that Mariah provided the detective, they have the burden to show that Mariah violated the law. They haven't called her as a witness. We have no evidence of that. And then I want to finally address the Anita Seaman matter. I have some case law I'd like to give to the court, and I'll send the copies to the defense. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
So the first case I'm tendering is Wilkerson v. State. This is the CCA case that talks about particularly CPS being an agent of the police, and it talks about the defense having the burden of proof and that there are 3 factors the court needs to look at to determine whether or not Ms. Siemens was an agent of the police. We believe that upon reviewing the 3 factors, the court will conclude that she was not. The police are okay to share evidence with CPS.
She was not the police, say that again?
She was not an agent of the police. It is okay for the police to share information with CPS and vice versa because they are on parallel investigations. It is when the police direct a CPS investigation for their own ends is when Miranda is required. However, we are also asking for a second ruling on Ms. Siemens' investigation. We're asking for a ruling that Mr. Clare's statement was voluntarily made to Ms. Siemens. We have Harris versus New York. This case, the Supreme Court holds that if a statement is taken in violation of Miranda versus Arizona, it may still be used for other purposes outside of case in chief, particularly impeachment, in the event that it is voluntarily made. I would also tender to the court Kansas v. Ventris. This case holds the same.
Can you spell that?
Ventris, V-E-N-T-R-I-S. This case holds that the same rule applies when a statement is taken in violation of the Sixth Amendment right, or when a statement is taken without the benefit of counsel for the Sixth Amendment. It may not be used in case of chief, but it may be used for impeachment. And finally, I have a CCA case that talks about how these rules apply in, say, a death penalty case where a defendant's testimony is introduced through an expert, and they cite to Harris versus New York in that case. An expert may review voluntary statements made by the defendant. And then finally, I would note that 3822 echoes all these constitutional and Miranda holdings under Section 5, which says that if a statement is voluntarily made, even though it may not be used in case in chief, it may still be used for impeaching the defendant should their credibility be at issue, such as through an expert or if he takes the stand.
Okay.
And with that, we've asked that you find the statements admissible in case in chief, but also that they're voluntarily made and that they may be used should the defense introduce Mr. Clare's statements in some form.
Okay, defense?
I'd like to split this here, and I just want to address one issue, and Mr. David Garza will address the others.
Okay.
And that is regarding the propriety of an inventory and return. The prosecutor is almost correct. What the law says, or the case law says, is that a accused must show some injury from a lack of inventory return. The potential injury in these cases are, we don't know what was collected at what scene based on these search warrants, because there is no inventory. So by the time we get to trial, the testimony will start coming out, and we have no idea from what was the return on the search warrant, that there was never an inventory. And they can say anything they want, how they produced it, where they got it. That's the potential injury, Your Honor. And that's why we would object to the items seized during the execution of these search warrants, because we have no notice of when they were taken and how they were taken, and whether they even came under the elements of the search warrant that they were authorized to conduct.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, and in addition to that, I would point out that the Haskins address search warrant that was offered at the last hearing, I would point out that it lacks probable cause.
What exhibit is that?
It's exhibit number 8. I can tender it to the court if you want to see it.
That's fine. Just tell me what you want to say.
Yeah. That if you look at the four corners of the document, that the probable cause is conclusory. It doesn't establish why the house needs to be searched. It doesn't say
I'm sorry?
why the house needs to be searched, where the items will be found, what items they're looking for. It doesn't talk about any of that. So we would ask that particularly the Haskins search that was conducted on the 10th in State's Exhibit 8, that search warrant and the contents and evidentiary items taken, that all that be suppressed because of what Mr. Fuchs said, and then because of the fact that it's conclusory, it doesn't establish probable cause within the four corners. Then so that's the search warrant. On the other stuff, no return statement will stand on that. There isn't a lot of evidentiary items and material that came out of that. So I'll leave that alone. But as far as the ADT goes, that's some surveillance video of Mr. Clare after the incident. He's in the backyard. He's looking around and stuff like that. So to the extent that the state wants to use it, we would object that it was obtained in violation of the Fourth Amendment, that it was, and that would be the Fourth Amendment article, and then the 14th Amendment, and then Article 1, Section 9 and 10 of the Constitution. And we would
Section what?
Article 9 and 10, Article 1, Section 9 and 10 of the Texas Constitution, and then Article 3823 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, that there is no warrant taken, that there was not a valid consent or any kind of form by Mr. Clare, that Mariah was an unauthorized person to go into the cloud and send the material and the videos to the detective, to Detective Lloyd. And then just to argue to you, Your Honor, think about it. If we get into a point where ex-girlfriends can go in and when they're no longer living in the house, or ex-wives or whatever, think about it. If they can go on and get stuff that's now private to you, protected, things that have nothing to do with when there was a relationship. You know, so if we get to a point where that's happening, I would argue to you that that's a scary proposition. That's not the way that these things should work. So we would argue and ask that you suppress any evidence coming out of the ADT devices or the clouds or whatever that Mariah obtained. And then finally, on the statement that Mr. Clare gave to CPS, again, we would ask that you suppress that statement based on the 5th and 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 9 and 10 of the Texas Constitution, and then 3822 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Mr. Mori talked about the factors. There's a case called Aguilar that I can provide the court, and that case is almost, that's what I've been using to question the detectives and the investigator, and the case almost parallels exactly what happened
Do
here.
you have the site for Aguilar?
I do. 535 Southwest 3rd, 600.
Okay, go ahead.
Out of the San Antonio Court of Appeals, out of the 4th Court. And that case is very similar to this case, Your Honor. In that case, basically, the investigator in that case worked for the Laredo Police Department and became an investigator, kind of like Siemens here with Live Oak, and then a special investigator. They talked, the detective shared details of the investigation with that investigator. The investigator goes in, obtains a statement, just like in this case, shares it with the lead detective. They subsequently use it in the man's, or whatever the defendant's, capital murder case. They're convicted, the case is reversed. You heard evidence that the detective shared the details with investigator Siemens. You heard that she has extensive law enforcement experience, that she teaches investigative techniques. So she's not a rookie is what I'm saying, first of all. She knew what she was doing when she goes in there. She was, I would argue to you, was directed to go and obtain the statement. You heard later when either you or Tamara were asking questions at the end, that the detective made some admissions where he was asking for the why, the motive, so to speak. And I would argue to you that all that, it weighs heavily in favor of suppression. Where the interview is conducted is a factor, Your Honor. It was conducted, as you heard in the last time we were here, inside of a interrogation room where there's cameras and that kind of stuff. You heard that she recorded the interview. We heard evidence about her badge, which is also a factor that you use to determine whether you should suppress a statement. You heard evidence that she was invited to the forensic interview and that the detectives watched it together. I mean, I would just argue to you, Your Honor, that the Fifth Amendment, the Miranda warning was required, that she was an agent of the state, that Claire had already invoked his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I would point out to the court also that they went over the offense, that Ms. Siemens had, that the investigator had reports, that she knew to go in there to look for the gun, and all of that, all of the information that she had, it plays out throughout the course of the interview. You can tell, you can tell that she knows what she's looking for, that she's been directed to do what Detective Lloyd has told her. This goes beyond what would be required to know for the safety of the children. And all the children were with family members. They were all safe. There was no reason to go and ask questions beyond that. So I won't take up any more of your time, Brother. I'm going to ask that you suppress that statement based on the Fifth Amendment and all the laws that I said.
Okay, well, in light of the fact of the testimony today, I was kind of ready to rule on that, but let me review the case law, and if you can give me Aguilar, I'll review Aguilar and the case law that the state gave me, and I'll rule on all these motions fairly soon. Okay? I thought we were done with the Wilkerson issue, but with the Siemens issue, but there was some more testimony today. Go ahead.
Oh, I would just, in terms of what was taken for each warrant, there's lots of reports that have been tendered to the defense that list items that were taken into custody. There's photographs of what was taken from the search of the Haskins residence. So they're not, I guess that's what we were confused about, that you didn't know what was taken from what.
Well, the point is not saying we have to rely on offense reports, whereas the detached magistrate who authorized the search, they did not get a chance to review the inventory and return to determine whether the items were appropriately taken under the warrant to begin with.
Okay, but he's saying that you don't have injury because you have knowledge, is what he's saying.
Well, what I'm saying is it's become the habit of the San Antonio Police Department not to do inventory and returns. I don't know if it's because they're lazy or they just don't want to follow the law. Either way, we're saying that their continued use of this deprives the defendant of certain rights. They're actually supposed to return, give the person whose place was searched a copy of the inventory before they leave, just like giving them a copy of the search warrant while they conduct the search. It's just another case where a defendant's rights are being cut away and denied.
Okay, I'll take your arguments under advisement. I'm gonna review the case law that the state gave me. If you can give me Aguilar, and then I'll make a ruling on these motions to suppress and on the statements of the defendant and on the ADT fairly soon, okay? Anything else at this time?
On the ADT, if I can find a case for the court, can I submit it? in the next
Yes,
few
just make sure
days?
the defense gets a
Absolutely.
copy, okay?
I'll send an email to CC to everybody.
Okay, will do. Anything else from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that concludes this hearing. We're off the record now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When do you want him to come back, Your Honor?